My name is Gregg Pasquarelli, and I'm a founding partner at Shop Architects in New York City. We're a multidisciplinary design firm that does not only architecture, but also sustainable technologies, construction, and software design. I was on a panel in New York City, and the dean and one of your faculty were on the panel as well. And what I'm very excited about is that the IE, being a design school inside a business school, is very unusual. Certainly doesn't exist anywhere in the United States. And my background is actually investment banking, and then I became an architect. So I've been really excited to get to know more about the IE and learn about how you teach design here. So we really did a lot of research and exploration into how to use the computer to be a construction tool as well as a design tool. And what happened was we started to get very good at it, and other architects started asking us to help them how to build these very complicated buildings using this technology. So we formed a new company that can work for shop architects or can work for other architects, helping them build. There's a consistent theme about who we look for. I think that it's people who have studied multiple things. So we love someone who studied business and design, or Russian literature and painting, or software engineering and sculpture. So that I think that the more you expand the left and right side of your brain, the more inventive you become when you're in the design studio. So that's why I'm so interested in this school, because it's really one of the only ones in the world that thinks that way. And I really hope I get to learn something while I'm here. In fact, I think what makes architecture incredibly interesting is that it's the last great generalist profession, meaning that architects are actually very good at many different things. We understand, from history and art and construction and science and politics, and it's bringing those things together and solving those problems spatially is what we do. So I think that architects just in general have a very, very wide knowledge base. So part of that knowledge base is management. Part of that knowledge base is strategy. Part of that knowledge base is finance. And I believe that architects that don't engage those issues are actually going to make themselves not very useful in the future. And that to think about architecture as purely just making shapes or forms or the image of buildings, I think is a huge mistake. I think that you must constantly think about the management strategy of your client, the management and strategies of the city you're building in, the management and strategy of the construction firms putting it together, and the management of your firm yourself. So to me, they're totally integrated in a certain way. But if you made me put a number on it, I'll go way out on a limb and say 50-50. I believe that sustainability is the most important thing that we can as designers, add to our social responsibilities. But I don't think it's only about adding technology to buildings. I think it's really about how buildings are made, making beautiful buildings, making smaller, more efficient buildings, using materials in a smarter way, and most critically, density. Because density is the most sustainable thing that you can do. If you can have lots of people living in taller buildings and then have a forest all around it, as opposed to everyone in lower buildings spread out as much as you can, that's a much more sustainable model. So what's the problem with density? Sometimes maybe it's not as nice to live in a very, very dense place, right? So I think that one of the key things that designers need to think about in the future is how to make very dense cities extremely livable. And if you can use design to make density, to make efficiencies, to make it a beautiful and wonderful place to live with a very high quality of life, you will actually have a huge impact in what happens in the future. So shop architects had shop construction, and I think that it's always been part of the thinking of our firm not to just hire architects. We have lawyers, we have poets, we have computer software engineers. We have writers. And so having this big mix of people in our office, it really is more of a think tank than just a straightforward architecture office. And so by having all these diverse backgrounds inside our firm, we started to think of other problems that we were seeing in the design world that we might be able to solve. So one of them is the fact that solar panels, which are great to generate electricity, but the problem is that you can't see through them, so you can only put them on the roof of a building. So we started to work on an invention where it was a solar panel that you could see through, so that you could put the entire south facade of a glass skyscraper, let's say, with a solar panel on it. And that's how we formed Helioptics. So it's actually a technology of a glass wall that generates electricity. G-Works was also another company that we formed to help landlords figure out how to take old buildings and make them more sustainable in the future. And Shop Applications is a software company that is trying to figure out what the next generation of designers and city planners and developers need in software to understand how to build their cities.